Hi, welcome to the Minnesota Garden Mom. My name's Tiffany and we garden here in Zone 4B. Today we're going to be talking about seed varieties, specifically tomato varieties, some that have grown well here in Zone 4, as well as things that I'm going to be trying out in the coming year for the 26 growing season. Now, if this is not your cup of tea, feel free to go to some of our other garden tours and garden content, some funny little videos that go with being a mom and gardening at the same time. Okay, if you're still here, that means that you love seed varieties just as much as I do. Welcome, and let's have at it. So the first one here, we have a German pink tomato. This one's supposed to get 1 to 2 pounds. I'm looking for something for full slicers. I slice and put it on a piece of bread for my sandwiches in the summer, or even some good, like chunky tomatoes for my stews as well as my chilies. I have not grown that one before, and I'm hoping it does well. The Aziochka tomato, I am unsure on the pronunciation of this one. If you have an idea, please drop a comment down below. This one's supposed to get 10 to 16 ounces, and I have not grown this one either, but I've really enjoyed the yellow and orange tomatoes that I've grown this year. So I'm hoping that I can incorporate more of those into my variety rotation. This one is a mushroom basket tomato. I have not grown this one myself, but I have eaten it. It was delicious. It did have a bit more of an acidic bite to it, but it had that full richness of tomatoes. If you're a tomato person, then you understand what I mean by that. Much better than your basic tomato that you're going to get from the store for your sandwiches. Here we have the pineapple tomato. This one is supposed to be ready in 75 days after transplanting, and it's supposed to be up to 2 pounds. I'm pretty impressed by that. I'm wondering if the ones that are going to be in that 75-day range are going to be smaller, or if it truly is going to mature in that 75 days after transplant. And if you're also interested, come along with me for next year and see how that goes. We have a vintage wine tomato here. It's supposed to be 10 to 16 ounces and 60 to 70 days for maturity after transplant. So this one here is more of what I would think for 70 days. For 1 to 2 pounds, typically I think that 80 to 90 days. So it'd be interesting, like I said, if 75 days. Now, these are MI Gardener seeds, and the information on the back is very reliable. Tons of information if you've not used their seeds before. I really enjoy it. One, their seed packets are usually $2 a packet unless they're on sale or it's a certain variety that might be more rare. Okay, I'm back. Here we have the Amana tomato. This is an orange tomato, and it's supposed to be one similar to the pineapple tomato in low acid. This was another one that's supposed to be 1 to 2 pounds. And you could be saying, hey, Tiffany, if you're already growing an orange tomato that, is low acid, then why are you growing other ones? And that's because some of these I am trying out that I haven't grown here before to really see which is going to take off the best. And I've noticed for a lot of my salsas and pasta sauce that a variety of tomatoes makes a better sauce. It gives a lot more depth of flavor, and having those low acid ones isn't going to change if you can them or not. It is more of the low acid in the sense for our taste buds, not for the ability of canning. Some people are going to argue with that. Feel free to have a conversation about that in the comments, and we can see if there's a scientific backing of why we wouldn't be able to. I have a 42-day tomato here. These are 1-ounce tomatoes, and I'm going to be starting a few of these for in pots. And that's so that next year we can have a early crop of tomatoes for fresh eating and snacking for our lunches. I'm going to be growing some blueberry tomatoes. These are 1 to 2 ounces, so they're actually supposed to be bigger than the 42-day tomato. And we'll see which one we actually get first. This is still supposed to be 70 to 95 days before it starts to produce. And I am excited also because having a colorful palette of tomatoes is a lot of fun. I did grow the Cherrylicious mixed tomatoes for the 25 growing season, and we got quite a few out of it. They were really good. Went to go get one of my baskets to show you guys just the color variety that we have here. We have some orange, yellow, red. I didn't get any green ones or purple ones out of the Cherrylicious mix, but I did decide to go ahead and buy those blueberry ones. So we have, you can see the difference in colors. This really light yellow one, and that one is a champagne bubble. This one is either a gooseberry or another variety that I'll show you. I wasn't quite sure which one it was because this is just a mix. It's a variety. And then these ones are a supernova grape. They have this nice like little tiger stripes on them. And this is the one that I had about 20 plants of in my garden this year due to mislabeling problems with my toddler helping me up pot plants. So back into varieties, we have the Testland Race Current tomatoes. These are very tiny tomatoes. Think about the size of a pea, maybe even a little smaller, and some a little bit bigger, but typically around that size. So a fourth of an ounce to a half an ounce. Very tiny, very delicious. They're very fun for kids. They're very prolific, so they can continually pick these, and you still might get a chance to get some yourself. These are really great in the summertime. Occasionally when I make a pasta dish to throw these in there, and I'll still throw some other vegetables in like peas with the pasta dish, and they just have a nice little pop when they're hot. Here we are, those champagne bubbles that I told you about. Very beautiful, very light. These do get to an ounce. So when you think a bubble, you think more of the currant size, these really tiny ones. These are a full ounce. Think more of a traditional cherry tomato. Here we have a white cherry tomato. These ones are more yellow than light yellow. I'll hold up the pictures together so you can see that there is that more of a distinguished color. We're going to be growing some orange currant tomatoes. Again, fourth of an ounce to half an ounce. And this is just for the color variety. There is going to be a bit of a taste difference with the currants, but my kids absolutely attack the tomato plants in the sense that they are constantly going and picking and eating them. Here's that Hartman's yellow gooseberry that I had told you guys about. I'm pretty sure that this darker orange tomato that we have here is this one. Now the skin is slightly thicker on those ones, but these tomatoes, these yellows and orange cherry tomatoes, are a really good introduction for people that aren't tomato fans or kids that aren't tomato fans. And they don't have that bite to them, and some of them have a very nice thin skin, and there's just so many varieties that the kids can have fun with it. You can have fun with it. Really good introduction if you're trying to get your kids to eat more vegetables. Now, I will say that the tomato skins, you will see them later if you're changing diapers. So don't be alarmed if you do. For Brandywine red tomatoes, I have had these ones before. I have a friend nearby that has grown these. They're very good. She said they grew very well in our zone. Here are the San Marzo tomatoes. This is a paste tomato. They get between 5 and 6 ounces. I'm very excited about these ones. I've grown just a few, meant to grow a lot, but only ended up growing a few because they got mixed up with those grape tomatoes. They did really well, really high production, and no troubles with like mildews and blights with them. I also am going to be growing Martino's Roma next year. I haven't grown this one before. This one's a 2 to 4 ounce paste tomato. Also, excellent productivity for the plants, it says, as well as disease resistant. Now, I do have a little bit of trouble with blight, but if you're in zone 4 or lower, in the sense of lower zone number, you aren't going to have a very long growing season. And when you don't have a long growing season, a little bit of blight isn't really going to affect you. Now, if you are in the warmer climates and you have a longer growing season, you have two options. Either you're going to go through, you're going to plant a first crop of tomatoes, start a second crop to then follow up because they're going to get hit with blight and they're going to get taken out. Or you can try and do the sprays. I have heard many people that have had no problem if they do the sprays for their tomatoes, but they're out there every week going and trimming foliage. I trim a little bit, but I just let a little bit of blight. Doesn't seem to hurt my plants, and it gets cold soon, so it's not going to be a long-term issue because we don't have a long-term growing season. Next, we have the Jersey Devils. I'm going to be trying these ones out this year. I did not grow them this last year. This is an 85 days tomato, and it's also an indeterminate, about 8 to 10 ounces for the size of those tomatoes. I'm going to treat those ones as more of a sauce tomato, and we'll see how they do. We have these smaller tomatoes here. This is a Bonnie's Best. I'm growing these ones for kitchen tomatoes for fresh eating, 75 days till maturity. These ones have been grown since the early 1900s. It's an heirloom tomato. A lot of the tomatoes that I will be growing are heirloom tomatoes. I have grown some of the other ones before when I was first learning how to grow here in Minnesota. And they did fine. I'll talk about those towards the end of the video. We have a delicious tomato. I have not tried these before, nor have I grown them here before, but I hear they do very well for this area, for zone 4, that is, and up to a pound for these ones. These are a 90-day maturity, but you're supposed to get a lot of them on one vine. The Paul Robinson tomato has grown wonderful here. I've even grown them in big pots, the 20-gallon pots though, having more space for these ones. They are indeterminate. They need a lot more room for their roots as well as more opportunity to get water and nutrition. 7 to 12 ounces. These things are so good. My eldest son would take slices and sprinkle a little bit of sugar on them and just eat them. Just tons of them. We would actually argue on who would get to eat them because they were just so good. I don't know if any of them made it to being canned or eaten on sandwiches because we would just immediately dice them up and eat them. The sugar, if you don't know or are wondering why I would let him sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it, it cuts that acid out. Not that these were a high acid tasting tomato by any means. He truly does not like acid at all, but he loves those yellow, orange, and tiny tomatoes because they are low in acid. We have a rose tomato. I've grown these ones as well before. They get more of a pink color, and when you have a bright red tomato like these in comparison to, let me see if I have a pink one over here. I do not have any pink ones. They've all been eaten. Very good tomato for sandwiches or adding into your dishes. I've even used them for canning, no problem. Very good tomato for going either way. We have a black Fumtula tomato. I have not grown this one before, but I was excited to grow some darker colored tomatoes, and I will let you know how they look, how they taste, and how well they actually do in our area for zone 4. And then lastly, you guys might laugh at this one. This one's called a Tiffin Mennonite tomato, and I purchased this one because of the name. And that is the fun with gardening, is that you can purchase things just because the name, just because you think they look cool, and you can have fun with it. It really adds that uh, extra joy into gardening. So things that I've grown here before that I will not be growing again, not because they didn't do well here in zone 4, but because I just didn't really care for the flavor, is a firework tomato. It does just fine in the area. It grew. This one's a bit of a smaller one. It's still reddening up. I will either give these tomato seeds to family, friends, or let my kids grow them. I have a space for my kids to grow their own things because that way they're allowed to dig, demolish, whatever they want. And so that's a fun tip. If you're growing with kids, have a space for them to grow something themselves. You'll be surprised what they can actually get going and starting by watching you. And then they also, not always, will usually just stay in their space and not go into yours and destroy your own plants. I have this Gardener's Delight cherry tomato. This was my first cherry tomato that I really started growing. I didn't really grow cherry tomatoes before I started having kids. This one did just fine for the area, very prolific, but it's a very basic tomato, nothing like extra about it. And that's fine. And then I started with these Roma tomatoes. Here, I keep my seed packets so I can reference things for later. And then I also will write years. This is from the year 21 on there. And this one is by a burpee variety, and it is the Roma VF. So this one was a really good disease resistant, very good intro to growing. If you are new to growing tomatoes, especially here in zone 4, this is important. You can grow just about anything you want as long as you're willing to start those seeds either ahead of time or going and buying them from a nursery. Here in Minnesota, we have a short growing season in comparison to a lot of other people around the world. And that's okay. It's just a little bit extra effort, and it can be a true joy to have that extra effort in the wintertime when we are unable to go outside and get that extra vitamin D or having that opportunity to go do things in our garden. Seed starting can be quite a joy. It can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but there's a lot of fun to be had with it. If you're new to starting those seeds, give yourself a little extra time for germination and mistakes. And for those of you that have been growing for a while, I encourage you to branch out. Try something new, try something fun, try something challenging. Just because something doesn't work out the first time, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try again. And if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for sitting with me. I thoroughly enjoy talking about these things. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing. We are a new channel, and we are growing on this journey here in zone 4 for cold climate growing, because there's so much out there about growing in warm climates and very little about growing in cold climates. Thank you and have a good day.